As Stygian Onslaught and Imaginarium Theater get more and more demanding, you are probably wondering which characters are worth building. And on top of that, which characters are worth investing into their maximum level for Stygian Onslaught, or just worth getting to level 70 at a minimum for content like Imaginarium Theater. Well, in this video, we aim to answer all of that to help you decide which characters that you should build. Welcome to Jello Impact, where we build and test every single character to help you decide who you want to wish for and build. The version Luna 1 banners featuring Flynn's and Galon are finally here. If you're planning on spending for these or any future banners, let me recommend Loot Bar. I have been personally using Loot Bar for over a year, and I've spent thousands of dollars on my personal account. They are safe, using currency exchange to get you discounts on the crystals you were going to buy anyways. They have tens of thousands of 5-star reviews, and right now you can get a limited time offer for an even bigger discount than normal. They're very easy to use. Just choose the pack you want, enter your UID and region, and your top up is delivered in minutes. The all-in-one bundle will be available for a special limited time price, allowing you to take advantage of the double top up bonus coming with Luna 1 and Genshin's anniversary. New users also get a 5% coupon, as well as 2 3% coupons for clicking my link. New users clicking my link also get access to a $2 Welkin. And if you play other games like Star Rail or Zenless Zone Zero, you can use Loot Bar for them too. It's partnerships like these that allow me to continue bringing the content I do to the channel, as well as supporting my family. So thanks to Loot Bar for sponsoring the video. Alright, so basically we have all the characters here. At the top, benefits from a really great build normally, your choice, level 70 if you don't have some of the above, and only if you want. So what does this mean? Starting with the only if you want category. These are characters that are not worth really building even for Imaginarium Theater, unless you actually like them and want to build them. It's not that they're totally useless. Noelle is actually like a pretty good character. She could belong in one of the other tiers above if you want to do that, but I wanted to put her down here because it's not really advisable. There's no really reason to build her. If you want to get value out of her, you need to actually invest in her, give her levels, give her talents, give her artifacts, give her weapon, and so you can absolutely do that, and it will outperform than me just putting her at the very bottom of the tier list. She's not a bottom tier character by any means. Stay tuned for my power level tier list for that. If you're like, no, Noelle's better than that, that's not really what I'm saying. I'm saying that in terms of account priority and leveling and efficiency, building Noelle doesn't really do much for you because she's such a high investment character, and the return that you get on that is quite a bit lower. That being said, she's maybe just as good of a value as Ito, so maybe I will just move her up there just for consistency. But the idea is the same. Next is Fremine, very similar thing. To actually get value out of Fremine, you're going to have to put actual levels into his stuff, and it's just not worth it. Aloy doesn't really do much supportive capability or DPS or really anything. Xinyan can do some supportive stuff, but it's fairly unreliable. Amber doesn't really do much except for DPS and really bad at DPS. And then Razor, same kind of thing, requires, you know, level 90 for that reaction damage, stuff like that. So this stuff, you can do it, but it's only if you want. And some are better than others, you know, Razor better than the others. Then the next tier is level 70 if you don't have some of the above. And these characters could be in the above tier. Some of the above tier could probably be in this tier. Don't take it too seriously, but all of them can perform pretty well at level 70 investment. It's just that there's a lot of competition for their role at that investment. So for example, we'll start with Lynette. She's an Animo character, very pretty, but Animo character, you know, has a taunt, VV, but there's a ton of Animo characters with VV, and she doesn't do anything except for damage, elemental application, heal. There's no particular reason why you should build Lynette, unless, of course, she's one of your few Animo characters, in which case you can definitely build her to level 70. Never a bad choice to build any of these characters to level 70, because you don't need tons of talents to make them worth it. Chi-Chi, just a healer, no battery, no elemental application, no offensive utility, just a healer. But hey, they're a healer, they're the cryo element, you can build Chi-Chi if you want. Dory, similar-ish thing. I feel like Dory does have some stuff, but if you want her to really take advantage of the healing, take advantage of the on-fielding, you need C6, you need level 90, it gets being a little bit much, but you could definitely argue putting them above if you want. And similar thing with Sayu, even though she heals, you probably have a copy of Jean. Why bother building your Sayu? But if you're short on some sort of Imaginarium Theater where you have Animo in the thing, and Sayu is one of your characters, absolutely you can build Sayu to level 70. All of these level 70 if you don't have enough characters. Also, Kaveh should definitely move down here as well. Maybe we'll move some more characters down, probably Heizo as well. There's just a lot of Animo characters and such. And again, they're all pretty much interchangeable. They're all just sort of like fodder characters. Just pick whichever one you like the best. There's not really that much of meaningful difference between these two tiers. Mika can be a healer, just level to 70, a healer for Imaginarium Theater. Beidou, I know people are going to be weird about this, but Beidou doesn't really do all that much damage unless it's specifically a 2-target scenario, and she really struggles with energy, and if you build tons of energy, she's not doing as much damage. But you can use her as a sort of pseudo defensive utility, sort of a little bit of damage here and there. Maybe it kind of belongs in here, I don't know. And if you want to build her for more damage, you can, so you could put her in there. It's all very subjective. Imaginarium Theater isn't too serious and strict, but that's Beidou. Charlotte, a healer. You can definitely get some value out of Charlotte as a free-to-play healer. She is the trial character for this particular Imaginarium Theater, so it wouldn't even be worth building her for this Imaginarium Theater, but in general, this is where she'd be. Ningguang, yeah, we can move her down as well, but she is a Geo character, and if you get her to 70, she can at least apply Geo and hold Thrilling Tales, even if nothing else, so that's at least something. Kachina, also Geo, which is why Ningguang probably belongs down here, but she can at least hold the scroll set. Dahlia, Hydro, can give attack speed, has a shield, so it could be whatever in either one. Auroron definitely belongs in this tier for sure. One of the definitely much better Electro characters to build. And, you could argue building higher, but he doesn't need to do damage to get value. So unless you're building Auroron for one of your real teams, I would just recommend level 70. And yeah, this guide, obviously, Imaginarium Theater is going to be the biggest focus as to which characters you'd level 70. Which characters you'd build normally and above, it really depends on your account. Like whether or not you'd build Auroron to, level 80 or 90 and level up the talents to do damage really depends on your account and what other characters you're using and if they really synergize with Auroron. So, but for the purpose of, let's say you don't have characters that particularly need Auroron, then level 70ing for Imaginarium Theater is definitely going to be good value. Diona, same thing. You can level Skill and Burst for heals and shields, but it's not totally required. Kale applies Dendro, and that's all you need for Imaginarium Theater. Tartaglia, at least he gives a talent level buff, which may seem cope, but the talent level buff, if you have him on your account, right, and you just get him to 70, at least he's providing a normal attack talent level buff, and you can use that on your Novelette team or whatever team that uses normal attack. Arlecchino. Chongyin can use the cooldown reduction for Skirk and for other stuff, which is very, very useful, even if he's not built for damage. Barbara, healing, Thrilling Tales, Hydro damage bonus. Hirara, Dendro app, shields. Yao Yao, Dendro app, healing. Dia doesn't need talent levels to use her skill, but she can provide interruption resistance and pyro app with just her skill and doesn't even need any talent levels. Absolutely huge. One of the best characters to build for Imaginarium Theater, in my opinion. Get all of the value for level 70. Very, very good. I know, doesn't need talent levels to do stuff. Hydro application, just give her lots of ER. The Nodcry set. The Traveler, tons of versatility. Definitely worth getting the Traveler past level 70 for all the different Imaginarium Theaters. Easily fills a spot on the roster. Venti grouping is very, very useful in a ton of Imaginarium Theaters. You could even build Venti more to get better grouping on the higher level enemies. I think that's a thing. Mine's been high level for a while, so I don't remember how low level Venti interacts with those enemies, so it may be worth building past level 70 there for Venti. Kaya can do some damage. You can definitely build him more if you want for damage. Goro, again, free this Imaginarium Theater as a trial character. Normally, you could level 70. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a specific case. You're only really level 70ing if you're using Ito or Noelle. So I don't really know where to put Goro. Maybe we'll just put him up here, kind of the catch-all category of your choice. It's kind of could go either way. If you even want to build them, how much you want to build them. It's kind of a catch-all tier. It's kind of cheating, but that's okay. Candace, normal attack. Hydro application, just a pretty decently versatile character. Definitely not one of the strongest characters ever, but definitely seeing a lot more niche cases. Okay with lots of different stuff. Arlecchino, Mulaney, Skirk, Hyperbloom, whatever, Candace. Definitely just a generally pretty decently valuable character to build. Faruzan, kind of the same thing, only really works. You can use her for VV, only best utilized with the Animo characters. Aoife, I think, is a great build for level 70. Not only as a driver, you could level him to 90 for that, but even just as a level 70 for either for the scroll or for VV or for whatever, for TTDS, you can use Aoife for just like cheap support, or again, level 90 for electrocharge stuff. Imaginarium Theater giving electrocharge buffs make this type of team comp more powerful, so maybe you could even argue in a higher level tier anyways. Layla, very cheap. Shielder, Electro, we talked about Auroron, Keqing. So this is where it's your choice. It's like they can be useful for Imaginarium Theater if you need more DPSs, you know, building Keqing, Diluc, you know, Eula, Klee, different characters. Could be worth it, could be not worth it, depends on your account. Mona, I definitely think is worth building for Imaginarium Theater. It just depends on your choice as to whether she's worth min building or like investing talents into the burst to actually get more value out of her burst. Maybe I'll tend to put her up here. We can put her up there for now. Yeah, Yunjin, similar to the DPSs I talked about, she needs a fair bit of investment to actually be worth it. So, but she's like decently-ish, kind of flexible, I guess, for theater anyways. So it's, again, kind of your choice. Lisa, yeah, again, similar thing. You could just do level 70 for the shred, or you could build her for a bit more damage, up to you. Same with Jean. Same with Sarah, has a pretty good attack buff for electro characters, but mostly, you know, you can just do level 70 just to have another decent character. Same with Toma. Do you want to invest more for shielding and for Burgeon, or do you just want to do level 70 just to have off-field pyro? Same with Tainari, along with the other DPSs. Same with Ito. You know, do you want to invest in these DPSs? Do you need more DPSs? If so, you can go ahead and do that. Same with Sino. Same with Sethos. Same with Gaming. Gaming is very, very polarizing. If you love Gaming and you really work hard to make him work, he can be, you know, up in the very top tier. And if you don't love Gaming and you don't work really hard to make him work and you don't get him in the right teams, especially for theater, he goes way down to the bottom. So Gaming, very account dependent. Sijuin, same thing as a healer. Mizuki, they're very low value characters, but could be worth, you know, putting some levels in depending on what you have. I mean, they probably go down here for level 7. You don't really need high investment to get them going. And then Lanyan, you know, really good shielding. Same with Toma. If you invest in the shielding, could be useful. And then Chevrus, same sort of thing. The buffing goes up if you get more HP. So leveling Chevrus is worth it, but also you can get away with just building Chevrus cheaply. So again, kind of a catch-all category, your choice. It kind of depends on your account. You can always join the Discord server and the help chat to see which characters are really worth leveling more for you, but I think this is sort of my general baseline. And then into the build normally tier. So this is just characters that you're just going to build as normal. They're all obviously at least worth level 70ing for Imaginarium Theater, but then from there, they're also generally, maybe not yoimiya, they're also generally worth building. I mean, yoimiya, I mean, I don't know, what it's kind of like, they're generally worth just building for damage overall. So like so that you have them on your account. Yeah, maybe not yoimiya, but Rosaria does decent off-field damage, surprisingly valuable, I think, if you invest into your Rosaria. Shalona, generally great support. Obviously, these are lots of like meta or just off meta characters, or just valuable, flexible characters. I know Ayato is a bit weaker, but he is very flexible and very valuable. And I think if you have an Ayato on your account, you may as well invest into him and build him for damage and build him. I think it will be reasonably worth it. Can be one of your carries for a decent portion of Imaginarium Theater and really help you out. And then obviously the more flexible supports and the more powerful supports are obviously worth investing into normally. You're going to want to check out guides or join the Discord to get help on exactly how to build each character, you know, crowning Bennett's talent and, you know, what artifacts to put on the character. That's sort of like a guide specific thing. I don't want to go through every single character for that, but all of these characters, same with Wander, he's kind of flexible. So generally these characters are all worth building normally. And then I also wanted to throw this in there because I didn't want this just to be an Imaginarium Theater guide. I wanted to also just talk about investment in general. So these are the characters that are worth pouring tons and tons and tons and tons of resin into if you're really into these characters. So I know that, and of course, if you're really into Shao, if you're really into Wanderer, if you're really into Navia, these characters could absolutely belong up here as well. They just don't do as much damage as most of the other characters. The other characters have really high tier damage capabilities, whereas Shao, Wanderer, and Navia, I think are just a little bit lower than the characters they've put up in here. But and this is kind of in slightly reverse order. I don't know. You could organize these how you want in terms of like getting value from investing into the character, but this is like kind of semi-approximating how much. But these characters are doing a very, very high percentage of team damage on their teams, so it is very much worth, you know, camping out in their artifact set, spending time and a lot of resin, making sure they're crowned, making sure they have lots of their abilities unlocked. And some of these characters as well, like Farina, you want her to be crowned. You want, you know, to invest, maybe crown Llama skill. And so there's definitely a bunch of characters down here that could be as well. But these characters really give a very high return on investment for their team damage. So like crowning your Moika and getting like some upgrades on your artifacts is going to drastically improve your clears because she does so much damage and such a high percentage of her team damage. Skirk does really good damage, not quite as high percentage of team damage, but still such high damage that it's really worth getting really good artifacts. Mualani, very similar thing to Moika, although a lower damage ceiling in general. She does such true hyper carry damage that it's really worth it. Same with Varesa. Flynn's not as hyper carry as the others, but still a lot of damage. Same with Nefer, although she is truly a hyper carry, so again, really worth camping out. Same with Arlecchino. Kanich, you know, obviously he has sub DPS with Emily, but still Chaska has a bunch of sub DPSs on most of her teams, but still worth putting the investment in. And same goes for the rest of the characters, honestly. Inefa, the only off-fielder to be up here, she does so much damage that I do think it's worth really investing in her and making sure you have good artifacts and good everything going for Inefa. So yeah, this is the general baseline. Here's it is zoomed out. It's most of these characters could move up or down. We can move Novelette up too. Sorry, I'm sorry, Novelette mains, don't hate me. You can. It is worth investing and putting good artifacts into Novelette. I'm sorry. I know Novelette mains have been watching this. They've been triggered the whole time. I meant to put Novelette here. I swear I'm not a Novelette hater. I still think he's really good. Okay, Novelette. Okay, you invest in your Novelette. Okay, yeah. I think the rest of these I pretty much agree with. And yeah, some of these characters are going to build more than others. Escoffier is more worth putting more resin into than Kokomi. So it's mostly dependent on how you should be building that specific character. And yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know who you disagree with, and subscribe down below. Check out the podcast. And if you don't want to do any of that, that is totally fine. Just watching the video has been more than enough. Thanks so much. Bye for now.